History remembers wars. History remembers revolutions. But history rarely remembers silence, because silence doesn't denounce itself. It spreads quietly, through closed doors, through unsigned orders, through men who believe they are only doing their duty. And when silence lasts long enough, empires don't collapse, they rot. Welcome to Video Game Clipster, where games don't just entertain, they tell stories worth remembering. Today, we're diving into one of the most unsettling and overlooked historical stealth games ever made. This is the story of A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei. Developers and PlayStation China Hero Project. When we talk about ambitious games, we often imagine massive studios, hundreds of developers, and endless budgets. But A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei was not born from excess. It was born from belief. The game is being developed by CangMo Game Entertainment, a small, independent Chinese studio founded in 2022. At one point, the entire team behind this project consisted of just 6 people. No safety net, no blockbuster legacy, just an idea and the courage to pursue it. The project was originally known simply as Project Jinyiwei, a quiet concept built around history, silence, and moral weight. Leading the development is Liu Chiwei, also known as Li Yu, an indie creator previously known for a smaller experimental title. This time, the ambition was far greater: to create a historical stealth game that doesn't glorify power, but interrogates it. Built using Unreal Engine 5, the team focused not on spectacle, but on atmosphere. Every shadow, every sound, every pause, all designed by a studio that understood one thing very clearly: if you don't have resources, you must have purpose. And this is where Sony enters the story. In 2024, A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei was selected for the PlayStation China Hero Project. The China Hero Project is not just funding, it is mentorship, it is technical guidance, it is international opportunity. Launched by Sony Interactive Entertainment Shanghai, the China Hero Project exists to support talented Chinese developers, teams with ideas strong enough to stand on the world stage, but without the infrastructure to reach it alone. For a studio like CangMo Game Entertainment, this support changed everything. Through the program, developers receive help with console optimization, quality assurance, publishing experience, and international exposure. Not control, not creative interference, but partnership. This is why A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei is targeting PlayStation 5 and PC as not a regional experiment, but as a global release. A Chinese historical story told with confidence for a worldwide audience. And that matters, because it proves something important: that meaningful games don't need to be loud, they don't need to be safe, they don't need to follow trends. Sometimes, all they need is a small team, a difficult idea, and a platform willing to believe in them. A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei is not just a game, it is a signal that a new generation of Chinese developers is ready, not to imitate global games, but to tell their own stories, quietly, confidently, and without compromise. What kind of game is this really? At first glance, A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei looks minimal. No flashy trailers, no cinematic explosions, no heroic protagonist standing against the sunset. And that's exactly the point. This game is not about victory, it is about responsibility. Set during the final years of the Ming Dynasty, the game places you inside a system that's already dying, but refuses to admit it. Unlike most historical games, this one doesn't let you rewrite history with a sword. It asks you something far more uncomfortable. What happens when you keep obeying, even when obedience becomes cruelty? The Jinyiwei, power without accountability. The Jinyiwei weren't regular soldiers, they were the emperor's shadow. Officially, they were imperial guards. In reality, they were something far more dangerous. They spied on nobles, arrested officials, interrogated without evidence. They didn't need warrants, they didn't need witnesses. If the emperor suspected someone, the Jinyiwei made sure that suspicion became a confession. And the game never pretends this power was noble. It shows you exactly what happens when fear becomes governance. The protagonist, a tool that can think. You don't choose your character's name because the system doesn't care about names. You are a Jinyiwei officer, trained from a young age to obey. You've learned discipline before morality, orders before emotions, loyalty before truth. At the start, you don't question anything. Executions feel procedural, surveillance feels routine. But as the empire weakens, the orders change. They become more desperate, more cruel, more frequent. And slowly, you let the game feel the weight of each command. Stealth. Fear is a mechanic. Stealth is not optional in this game. It is survival. Enemies are not dumb. They investigate sounds. They remember routes. They react to missing allies. Light matters. Shadow matters. Even your armor matters. Running is loud. Rushing is punished. The game teaches you patience by killing you when you don't have it. Every successful mission feels earned, not because you were powerful, but because you were careful. Combat. Realistic. Unforgiving. Final. Combat in A Whisper of Fall is intentionally uncomfortable. There are no long battles, no healing mid-fight miracles. 1 or 2 hits can kill, both for you and for your enemy. Parries are precise, timing matters, mistakes are fatal. The game doesn't reward aggression, it punishes it, because violence here is not heroic, it's a failure of silence. Choices, the most dangerous freedom. The game never gives you a dialogue wheel that says good or evil. Instead, it gives you moments. Moments where you can hesitate, moments where you can misreport, moments where you can look away. You can follow every order perfectly and be rewarded, or you can quietly resist and live with the consequences. NPCs remember your actions. Entire missions change subtly. The world reacts, not dramatically, but realistically, because real resistance is rarely loud. World's design, an empire holding its breath. This is not an open world. It is a carefully designed one. Palaces feel empty, echoing with paranoia. Cities feel crowded but silent. People avoid eye contact. Every location feels watched. Verticality matters. Rooftops, balconies, hidden passages. The empire isn't alive. It's waiting to fall. Art direction, beauty in decay. The visuals are intentionally muted. Colors are washed out. Red, once a symbol of power, now feels like a warning. Faces are restrained. Emotion is shown through posture, not expression. There is no visual excess. Everything serves the mood. Sound design, letting silence speak. Music is rare. When it plays, it's subtle. Traditional instruments are used sparingly. Most of the time, you hear footsteps, wind, distant city noise, your own breathing. Silence becomes oppressive and unforgettable. What this game is really about. This is not a story about rebellion. It's a story about compliance, about how evil systems don't need monsters, they need obedient people. The game asks a question few games dare to ask. If you enforce injustice quietly, are you still guilty? And it never answers for you. Final verdict, the whisper never stops. A Whisper of Fall, Jinyiwei is not designed to be fun. It is designed to be honest. Honest about power, honest about silence, honest about how empires really fall. Not with screams, not with heroes, but with whispers that no one stops. A whisper of fall. Jinyiwei is not designed to be fun. It is designed to be honest. Honest about power. Honest about silence. Honest about how empires truly fall. Not with screams, not with heroes, but with whispers that no one stops. This was Video Game Clipster, where games don't just entertain, they tell stories worth remembering. If you enjoy deep dives, dark narratives, and games that challenge how we think, like the video, subscribe and share. Because some games don't shout, they whisper.